What's going on, fragrance family? It's your man Gator, better known as the novice nose out here in these fragrance streets. And yeah, I'm at the desk today. I'm at the desk today because we're going to be talking about a fragrance that I was super excited to, have a little bit of a wearing experience with. Now, last week I put a post out and I showed 3 fragrances and I said, okay, which one of these, can you guess which one I'm the most excited about? Had French Avenue Obsidian sitting there. I had Naughty Dates sitting there from Aromatix, French Avenue. And then I had this one. This is Bharara Onyx. This is the newest one from Bharara. Here, let me get a good picture of the bottle here. Again, Bharara Onyx. Now, why was I so excited? This was supposed to be one of the best inspirations or inspired buys of one of my signature scents, one of my favorite scents of all time. Bond number 9, Lafayette Street. Now, if you know me, you know I am really meticulous in the way that I judge interpretations of that fragrance. So, no exception here, man. I actually liked Wildcard a lot, but it left some things to be desired. I was kind of upset with the way that the apple came in there, or the lack of apple, actually. But they did the florals and everything pretty well. Let's see what this one does. Now, let me get a good spray on here. Now, while I'm letting that spray kind of dry down a little bit, let me get into the note breakdown on this thing. So, we're gonna have there's that fragrance here. We're gonna have top notes of being bergamot and lemon. The heart notes are gonna be apple, cardamom, davana, coriander, lavender, lavandin, orange flower, jasmine, and rose. And then you're gonna have the base notes of amber, tonka, sandalwood, and vanilla. Okay, now, so this is a little bit of a departure from the original Lafayette Street, and from the opening of this fragrance, you can tell that it's a departure. You're getting a sharp kind of lemon and bergamot mix there at the top of it, and just like the note breakdown says, that's what you get. It's kind of tart, it's kind of and ashy, and when it hits your nose, it's kind of like one of those where it's kind of harsh, right? So it, like when I sprayed it just now, and I love their atomizer, don't get me wrong, I meant to talk about that. The atomizer is really, really nice with Bharara. They did a great job with the atomizer, a lot of coverage here. I gotta give them A1s on that part of it. But when we're talking about the way this thing opens up, it kind of opens up a little bit harsh, which in opposition to Lafayette Street is going to be a little bit of a lush, creamy style of floral. They married the vanilla and the floral so well together there that they kind of beat with one band, one sound, and it is beautifully done. This is way before you start getting the amplification of the green apple in here. This actually does not do that, and you feel the harshness from the lemon in here when this thing first drops. Now, after about 2-3 minutes or so, that harshness does subside, kind of goes away, and you're left with a nice little marriage here. You got the green apple that comes in, which they do well here in the opening, but you also have, it actually comes in a little bit earlier here in the opening of Onyx than it does actually in the original Lafayette Street, but you also start to get some of that creamy floral magic kind of going on here. Now, nowhere near as creamy and dense as in the original here, or even in Wildcard, but this is an inspired by fragrance. They may have meant to do that, to kind of do a little bit of diversion from the original, so I get that, understand it, great, cool. Now, that's not the only diversion that you find in this fragrance. Now, one of the things I mentioned a second ago is the vanilla and the florals here. This one actually does have the vanilla and the florals, but it doesn't quite have the same vanilla and the same florals that you would find in Lafayette Street or even in Wildcard. I would give this, and I have Wildcard right here actually, Game of Spades Wildcard here. Actually a really good interpretation of that Bond number 9 Lafayette Street DNA. They nailed the florals. They may not nail the green apple in the transition here, but they nail the florals here at the top. That really vanillic, creamy style of floral here, they nail that in here, and it's done very, very well. gives it this really smooth, really inviting, really like I'm gonna stick my arms out and hug you and just bring you in close to me type of vibe here. The same way that you get from Lafayette Street, but at the same time being fresh, right? This DNA here, this one actually I think nailed, like kind of hones in on the fresher aspects of Lafayette Street. Not so much on the creaminess of the florals and all that kind of stuff. There is a little bit of a vanillic marriage here with the florals. It's just not the same. When I first smelled this though, I mean, I like the fragrance. The apple, the green apple stuck out to me because it did actually do something that Wildcard didn't. It embraced that green apple that you find in Lafayette Street. So it did actually kind of lean into it. Maybe not the same high quality of the green apple, but they did a pretty good job of replicating the green apple itself to a certain extent. Now here's the certain extent part. They actually have this green apple that comes across slightly bitter, right? And not as opposed to Lafayette Street, where it's a little bit smoother and, you know, it's more for the freshness of it. This one comes across as kind of like a little bit of a bitterness in the background, almost like they're using neroli as a floral. Neroli has got this purifying freshness to it, has a little bit of a bite to it as well here. Especially ones that aren't super high quality have a little bit of a biting kind of bitter vibe going here, and it doesn't really quite blend well a lot of times with more vanillic styles of fragrance, right? And I almost feel that here. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. It just kind of gives it a good departure from what Lafayette Street is. Now, I can tell you though, I really like this, but not because of the fact that it's more like Lafayette Street, but because it actually feels like an amalgamation of Lafayette Street and another fragrance that I kind of saw as possibly being a future signature fragrance for me, and a fragrance that I'm going to wear a lot this upcoming summer, spring and summer. And it's this guy right here. Okay, this is from Thomas Kosmala, the house of Thomas Kosmala. This is called Thomas Kosmala Starchaser. All right. Now, Thomas Kosmala's Starchaser is a fresh neroli and green apple driven fragrance, very woody in the dry down with some C notes in here. It's a gorgeous fragrance in the air, leaves this trail of just fresh green apple. But one of the things I love about this fragrance is that it comes across almost as a photorealistic green apple. Like when you spray this on, when you bite, like, you know, you ever bit into a green apple with the skin on, that little bitterness that's in the skin, you feel that, you smell that in here, and it's because of the way that the neroli comes in here. But it's not like a you know, low quality kind of bitter. It's like a high quality bougie bitter that you get in this one, that kind of accompanies the green apple, and it kind of leads to it being a more fresh vibe as it goes in. These two, I mean, this one, the opening in this is very similar, or should I say the opening in this is very similar to the opening in this, and the way that the florals kind of play, it's very similar to what it is in this. Now, this is a little bit more creamy on the florals, and I think it's more, they use a little bit of vanilla in here, but it almost comes across like they're using more of a neroli in here as the floral along with vanilla than they are, you know, like a jasmine or something like that to go along with it. So that's one of the big things. Now, the opening in here, like I said, reminds me a lot of this mixed with Lafayette Street. Surprisingly, it's good. I do like it a lot. It's just not, you know, Lafayette Street at all. As a matter of fact, I feel like this one is a lot more watery as far as the way that it comes. It's not, doesn't have that creamy density that you would find in Wild Card or you would find in Lafayette Street. That vanilla and floral marriage just lends it to being a little bit more creamy, dense, a little bit more comforting, a little bit more inviting. This one doesn't have all of that. The vanilla in here does lean it to be a little bit more creamy at the opening, but then it kind of forgets that. Going into like that half hour hour to an hour into the dry down, it just kind of goes more into like the less dense watery style of floral. Not bad. And then it does actually have some woods that come in to accompany the rest of the florals to kind of give it a little bit of a fresher take on the Lafayette DNA. Like I said, not bad. I dig it. I really do. Is it the best interpretation of Lafayette Street? No. But is it a pretty good, like, inspiration or inspired by fragrance? Yeah, I think so. If you're looking for Lafayette Street, don't look here. I go wild card. Definitely here from Game of Spades. Or Joe Milano Game of Spades. But if you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit kind of a departure from that DNA and something that's going to be a little bit fresher, a little bit more, summertime wear, stuff like that, I think this might actually be a little bit fresher take on that DNA. Now, as far as the performance on this, I was actually pretty surprised. Performance wise, this actually showed up, man. I got about the 9 hours actually on this fragrance off skin, so it was actually there. Now it only projects really loud probably for the first couple of hours though, and when I say really loud, I mean about an arm's length here for about 2 hours or so. And that's right when it really loses any semblance of vanilla that it might have. It kind of goes more into its woody, kind of almost semi-sweet tonka kind of bag here, as it kind of goes into that part of the dry down. And it really does leave a really pleasant skin scent. Going into that third and fourth hour when you're getting a little bit of like maybe 6 inches of projection off of your skin, it is really nice, man. Really sweet, really fresh. The woods really start to kind of come in. You still keep a little bit of the green apple nuance as well going into that part of the dry down. So I had a couple of compliments on this thing earlier today when I was walking through the office. So it really is a decent performer here. Sillage is really decent as well. I'd say maybe becomes a pure skin scent after about 6 hours, but that's not a bad wear actually for an office fragrance. Now, I just said office fragrance. You can use this. This is a little bit more versatile than just the office, though. You can use this as a quick grab and go, run around, do errands. It is a nice, fresh fragrance. So if you're just into freshies and you really want something, especially, I think this is going to be a hit in like the spring, just because the way that this plays, that green apple leaves a beautiful trail. So I think it'd be really nice for that type of environment. I dig it. If anybody tells you that this is like the closest interpretation of Lafayette Street, that's wrong. It's not. It really isn't. But I think that it is a good inspired by fragrance, man, and I think you should get your nose on it if you like freshies especially, man. Have you smelt this thing, man? Let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with somebody you know that loves fragrances. This was only supposed to be like a freaking 3-4 minute video, but damn it, I was talking about Lafayette Street and I was talking about green apple DNAs, and you know I love those, so it is what it is. Until the next time, guys, remember, no matter what you're doing, however you're doing it, make sure you make today the best day ever on purpose. Peace out.